Hello, everyone, and welcome to my show today. I am the Holistic-Yogi, also known as Kamala Ingrid, and today in this episode, I have a wonderful, beautiful guest, Nathalie Henrich, and she is an advocate of divine feminist, also a beautiful womb healer, musician, sound healer, mother, everything you can think of. She also hosts Tantra retreats, and let's get on board with her today. We have a beautiful, beautiful podcast for you guys to hear from. So let's get started. Welcome, Nathalie. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, my love. Thank
Oh my
you.
God, I'm so excited. Actually, like I said, I can't thank enough Desiree Davide. Let's put her out there because she really thinks like me and thinks like us, I guess, just getting to know you before we got on board. I can't believe it. We got just for Nathalie, for Desiree's sake, we run the same houses almost, but in different places.
Totally. Absolutely. I love it.
That's crazy.
I love it.
So let us know a little bit about yourself, Nathalie.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Germany. My father is German. My mother's Korean. Wow. And I traveled a lot when I used to live in Germany, but I came to Miami 13 years ago in my late 20s, and I became a mother of 3. And when I was in Germany, I was a banker. I studied finances and I did a bunch of other things because in my early 20s, I never knew what I want to do. So I started all kinds of stuff and I didn't know what to do. And then I ended up becoming a banker, which was super boring to me. I don't even know how I did it. But anyways, I came to Miami after, and then I was a mother for a couple of years. And then I decided through a spiritual enlightenment that I had, that I'm going to study acupuncture. It was like a sign from my guides of the 5 elements. And I saw it in this, I saw it in Miami down there when they have the Chinese New Year's festival in Miami-Dade College, I think it is. And I saw the 5 elements, and it was a booth of the acupuncture massage school in Kendall. And I started studying there. So I did acupuncture. I did my doctorate in Chinese medicine, completely switched careers. And then I went into sound healing, and then through that I went into a whole healing journey, and then through that healing journey I became a sound healer and an advocate for the divine feminine, because I healed my own womb and started healing other people's wombs. And through that I also was introduced to Tantra, and I decided to teach it at one point.
That's beautiful.
So here we are.
Well, let us get going back, since we're going to talk a lot about the womb healing, and this is very important because I, as a teacher as well, I know so much about the chakras in each one and how they get developed at what stage in our lives, and depending on what happens to us in our course of life, those chakras can get completely blocked, based on our history of what happens, traumas, things like that. Whether they can be, sometimes they start like the basic root chakra can be blocked just from the moment we are conceived in our mother's womb, based on our mother's traumas that they're going while they're holding us in that womb, and then pick up that whatever it is that they're going through. Once we come out, then we start developing the second chakra, and depending on the relationship that they are having, or our parents have with one another, if they have one, that also can determine how our chakras are going to be moving forward. So since we're dealing with the womb chakra, what led you here? What brought you to healing the womb?
Yeah, it's kind of like you said, definitely, like now that I did the healing work, I understood that it started already in my mother's womb, but back then I obviously did not know that. I noticed it because the father of my children that I have 3 kids with, I lived with him in domestic violence, and it came very, very slowly, but we were together for 10 years. And through that journey, obviously, I think like the first 5 years, I just didn't understand what's actually going on. And then through people that came into my life, I started understanding that it's something that has to do with me, and it has something that has to do with my own trauma. Because before I would just think it's him, and I never understood that it's actually me attracting it. And then through the domestic violence, which was very abusive physically the first couple of years, and then after that, he was removed from the court for 1 year at one point because it got wild. And he was also a professional boxer. So obviously the court had him already on a radar because he was a heavyweight boxer. And they were like, okay, he's going to kill her next time.
Absolutely.
So the fiscal decided to remove him for a whole year from the house. And I guess in that year, I kind of understood a little bit more about, starting with myself and starting with my own healing journey, which was challenging back then, because I also didn't have the financial funds. When you live in domestic violence, you don't have the finances, like all kinds of, it's like a cadena, it's like a ripple effect, it's like so many things. But I remember that I had a couple of people come into my life, including my own guides, getting messages, and I understood that there's something that I need to start working on. And so my womb got really, really sick, and it got to a point it was so sick that I couldn't have normal relation at all. Like it was constantly, I thought I had yeast infections, but I would go to a gynecologist and they would tell me, you have nothing. So clinically I wasn't sick, but I was sick. Like I could not do anything, and my vaginal canal was so closed up because of all the trauma. So it came to a point where I had to look at it. Like I had no other choice. I couldn't bypass it anymore. I was like, okay, you got to do something. Right. And then I met a medicine woman, and I came to the ayahuasca, and I somehow ended up also in Colombia, and got in contact with other teachings of how to heal the womb. And I studied also acupuncture at the same time. So it was like so many things coming together, where I just got in touch with herbs and natural remedies and the psychology and the energy and the emotions and just everything. It was like family constellation, like you name it. Like I think I have tried any healing modality that's out there. I've got in touch with it, And so through that, I healed my womb. I literally healed my womb. Like I got back into being able to have a relationship, feeling pleasure sexually, and just having a healthy vagina, so to say.
People don't realize how important that is. And like you said, you knew something was wrong, even though you went. People don't realize that there's a lot of females out there that I come across. They'll say, oh, but I have so many pains. And those are all trauma triggered. We show our pain through our body, and sometimes when we get checked and they don't see anything, they don't realize that the more you keep doing this and ignoring it and you keep going at it, it can cause down the road a disease, or get a hysterectomy, or something that develops in that area. And I understand because I too went through the same symbol, and I've had to heal, but I've healed myself. I'm a Reiki master born this way, and I've learned to understand my body over the years and understand how to slowly work through them. And I've done it also through psilocybin, like not too long ago. In this year, actually, I did one where I connected with my mother's womb, and that was what basically closed that chapter for me. Look how long it's taken. It's been a life journey, but it closed that chapter for me because I was able to understand what happened. While I was in her, and understand it while I was going through that journey, which was amazing. And it's hard to explain it, but the feeling that came through it is just, I was in awe, from the experience I got. And from that point on, I have a whole different outlook of that. And so once I came across your site on Instagram, I was like, oh, this is perfect topic.
I think a big part of the healing journey is really understanding where it comes from. I feel like just by understanding, if I healed so much, only by understanding why it happened.
Exactly.
Just in that moment, it's like, wow, my mother went through this. Wow, when I was born, the emotions were like this. I don't know, like just these patterns. It's like, wow. And then just the understanding of it unlocks these nodules inside of you. Like when they have cysts or cancer, fibroids, whatever we develop in our womb, it's all emotional. It's like it's a nodule of emotions, of life story. Right. That's really all it is, and once you understand that, you can work with it. I never had that, but I did have very abnormal bleeding for many, many years. And I developed hyperplasia, which is also an outcome, which I just recently actually learned, which can happen to a lot of people when they tie their tubes. And I did tie my tubes after my third child because I was living in domestic violence and I knew I'm not going to bear another child. So because of that, and obviously the trauma and the mixture of it led to hyperplasia, which means is that it thickens the uterine wall. And because of the thickening, eventually they either scrape it or they tell you we're going to take your uterus out because you're going to get cancer. And I remember that I went to the doctor and he told me that. I was like, I'll be back in a year. And I did everything that I knew for 1 year. And I focused really on my healing, and especially with my prayer and meditating and other rituals and things that I learned over time and with herbs. And I went back a year later and it's gone. I have no more hyperplasia. It's gone.
Yes.
And so it's not only that it gives you as a woman this superpower that you feel like, wow, I'm capable to get myself sick, and I'm also capable to get myself healthy. But it also really is so crucial to understand the health system and how it works, and how alone you are in this system here that doesn't really understand disease, doesn't really understand the origin of it, and especially when it comes to female health, the Western medicine has no recipe to heal us. The only way to do it is taking out our wombs or pushing us or like giving us a lot of pills.
Yeah, which is big pharma is big on that. And unfortunately, I can advocate. I've seen this happen even when I had a car accident many years ago. And I remember hitting my head hard on the wheel, kept me with a headache for almost a week and a half, I would say, nonstop. And the doctor, all he wanted to do is give me pills to mask it. I said, I don't want to mask it. I want to know what's wrong. I want to know why it's hurting for 24 hours every day, throughout the time. I need to know what's going on. When I went back for my checkup, I never took the pills, by the way. I went back to the checkup, same doctor that I never went to see again, because all he could say to me, he was upset that I never took them. And I was like,
they're not getting it.
And he goes, you should have taken, if you wanted, then I'm like, you know what? I'm not. I walked away because I just could not believe that all he wanted to do was get me hooked up on those pills.
I know.
And in the end, I ended up headache went away. I slowly healed myself, and I went through another doctor who understood, sent me to a chiropractor, and that was it. The rest is history.
Well, I mean, most doctors, it's not that they mean bad for you. It's just they legit don't know. They learn from Western medicine in school, from books, and that's all they know. And they never go into, when they're not spiritual or not aligned like that, they never go into different healing modalities. So it's not that they mean bad. They just don't know better. It's on you to find somebody that knows better.
No, it's true. It's true, because I even when I was going through a toxic relationship many years ago, I remember my body, I tend to shut down. Like many women probably do the same thing. I'm not the only one. I hold my emotions in, and I will be hard as a shell where people won't notice that something's wrong with me. I can go through life like nothing's wrong. And I guess from years experience in that, and I ended up having to realize that over time, that relationship was 4 years, and I started developing hives, almost like people thought. When I went to see the doctor, they thought I had eczema. Some says psoriasis, which I know it wasn't psoriasis because my ex-husband used to have them here on the head, psoriasis in certain areas. Eczema comes here, but it turned out everywhere that anytime I dealt with him or his family, my body just break out. And the longer I spent time, especially with the whole family, the more I broke out. On my legs, on my skin, and my body, on my arms, under my eyes. And I was just like, oh my God, what the heck is happening? Until one day I just said, we need to stop. When we ended that relationship, my body took a while to heal. I went to an ayahuasca, and it was kind of like what really opened my eyes and cleansed. And that's my first time ever. And that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm healing, like I'm realizing I'm reading. I felt so much lighter. And I understood at that point how we have the strength to heal ourselves, but it's a mindset.
Yeah.
And it's how I got, led on to looking at things in a different perspective and calling on things that I wanted to see, not what I don't want to see.
Yeah.
And we tend to, I think, the world is full of people dealing with the negative than the positive, you know. Look
Yeah.
at what's happening with the COVID. Instead of looking at it in a positive way, we're looking at it in a negative way and fearful way, which causing more of this to spread. Which for me, it's about bringing unity with our family, bringing unity within ourselves, learning to understand and take life at a different, you know, calling. So it's interesting. But how long did it take you to heal?
Well, I don't want to ever say that I'm healed, you know, there's always something else to heal.
Absolutely, agree.
But I can say it took like the healing of my womb, probably in total maybe 3 years, but I think the most intense healing was 1 year. And I know it sounds long, but it's not long. If you look at the life journey that you have with your womb and you never look at your womb, so 1 year or even 2 years is nothing, you know, for you to really cleanse out your shit. Excuse my French, but you know, and then there's always something to heal. But I guess then now I'm more aware of it. So as soon as I get a sign in my body, not necessarily my womb, just overall in my body, I'm just like, my alarm is going. It's like, okay, I need to work on it. Let me address it now, you know, so I don't wait for, I don't know, 10 years to go through, I don't know what, you know, craziness in my life, you know, until it gets unbearable. Now it's like, okay, let me catch it right at the beginning.
Right. And let me ask you something, like, so when you started now working with people, what shifted you there after you started? What led you?
Yeah. So that was just like helping our friends, you know, and they're seeing my journey and then they're asking me, hey, what did you do? And like giving advices. And then it became a thing. And then I got donations and then then I put it into programs. And then, yeah, then it became my path, you know, that I can live off. I don't want to say my job. It just became what I'm supposed to do, and I get an exchange now. Yeah, I became my purpose, and now I get an exchange for it, you know. Yeah.
I see also you're a musician.
Yeah.
How long have you been singing?
Singing just like for 2-3 years, but like I'm a musician since I'm 6 years old. I started piano and saxophone when I was 6, and flute and choir. So I was always very, very musical. My mom is Korean, so I was very like, my mom was very about, you know, all the Asian kids are into music. So yeah, I was very, very good at music all my life. I don't know why no, it's not, I said it wrong. It's not, I don't know why. I just chose a different path in between becoming a banker because I thought for status and other things I have to do that. But I should have just stayed in the music, you know. I just didn't comprehend back then, you know, that I was already on my path. I had to get off path to come back to my path.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, sometimes you appreciate it more when you go off, and I've done the same thing. I think in yoga, I let out myself to do other things, and then I find myself coming right back. I was like, until now, but this is my journey.
Exactly. Yeah. But now it's like, yeah, same thing. Like went to ayahuasca, I had an insight about my music and just like, and then manifested and just created, like literally it's just a prayer away, you know. Everything that you want to create is just a prayer away. People start saying, how did you do it? How did this? Same myself. I look at other people, how exactly did they do it? And I think when I do this and this and this step, then that's how it's going to manifest. But it's not like that. It's your own prayer, you know. And then the people just come into your life. And then Angel came into my life, and then he invited me to do concerts with him, and it just unfolds like that if you pray for it and if you manifest.
And you just have to let it happen.
You just have to let it happen. Yeah.
Talk about your Tantra retreats.
Yeah, similar. Like Tantra, I was exposed to Tantra through my ex-boyfriend that I had after my marriage, because he really needs to come into my life to really unblock me and unlock me again. And wow, after so many years that I thought I'm gonna die as a nun and like completely being closed up physically, mentally, like emotionally, I was such a wreck in that domestic violence, you know. There was nothing left of me, you know. And then I met this man that just like, I remember I met him, and like in one night, like, wow, my womb opened up again, and my vagina was working again, and my pleasure came back. And I was like, this is crazy, just because out of one person, one energy that just unlocks you again like this and brings you back into your energy like that. So yeah, he exposed me a lot to Tantra and practiced with me and initiated me in that sense, you know. And ever since, I just practiced it. Like even in my partnerships after, I would just always practice Tantra. And got a lot into the teaching and the wisdom of Tantra. And then I combine it a lot. So I don't do only Tantra. I combine it, like my retreats also include like flower baths and womb blessings and just like manifestations, like, and feminine embodiment and movement. So I kind of created my own, something that I did, and I give it to the people in like a one day, a little overview of everything. But Tantra is such a, or sacred sexuality, let's say better, sacred sexuality is such a big part of my life, because through that I was able to open up my womb again, and I really understood what it is to honor my temple and to honor, the people that I'm with and honor myself. And that was really so crucial coming out of domestic violence. It was a very crucial teaching for me that I needed to embrace. And yeah, and then I just, I'm just opened up my school. Actually, yesterday I'm opening up my school. I'm doing certification programs, and yeah, just beautiful things are happening, and all because I just want everybody to have access to it, and access to the teachings, and implement this in their lives, and teach it also to your sisters. I want people to come to my school so they can teach it in their own school, because there's never enough healing in this world, so that's actually the reason. So just get the teachings out, so everybody can get on the
Explain to those that don't know much about Tantra. Can you give us a little
Yeah.
understanding? Because I know there's a lot of people that don't get it or
I
understand
know.
it.
I know. Yeah. Tantra is really just breath work. And I know people get it confused. They think Tantra is sexuality, because you see a lot of tantric practitioners being naked on social media and doing naked yoga and all these crazy things, which I think it's amazing for the people that that works, if it works for you, it's fine, but it's not necessarily the sacred teaching of it, and a lot of people get it misunderstood, especially men, they come to tantric tantra events where everybody's naked, and they, there's still a lot in their root chakras, in their lower chakras. So don't get it confused, you guys.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're saying that, because that's why I said let's clear it out for them.
Let's talk about it.
It's important for people. Too many people are in the physical. It's more about soul connection. It's more about spiritual connection. Nothing with that being physical. That's a 3D. That's not the way it's supposed to be.
That's exactly what it is. And then you see a lot of tantric healers, with their legs open and putting a little flower in their vagina. So it's like, I'm just still, again, provoking the same energy of going into the primal. So actually what Tantra or sacred sexuality better, because again, Tantra is only the breath work of it. But sacred sexuality is like teaching is get more from the lower chakras into the higher chakras, like get more into understanding of the soul connection of what real love is. People get it very confused in terms of wanting to get sexual with a person right away, but maybe it's not that. Maybe we just have to become friends and have a deeper connection, but so it's about that. It's about connecting. It's about connecting to the soul of the person. It's about seeing beyond the physical and getting to the essence. And in that we can also do sexual practices in terms of breath work, reaching orgasmic breaths and all of that. And obviously if you have a physical attraction to a person, then you're supposed to be with that person also, but you can also just practice it without being physical with the person. In that sense, you don't have to have intercourse in order to really love the body that's in front of you. And by loving, I don't mean feeling attracted or hitting on each other.
Not the physical way, yes.
I mean loving it, exactly, or in a respectful way, and give that person love and receive love on a level that you have maybe not received it before. And it can be so much more intimate than actually intercourse. Looking at, one day I went to a White Tantra course in my Kundalini teacher training, Kundalini yoga teacher training. And the White Tantra, you sit one day in front of each other at the same person, and you do certain breath exercises and stuff. It was so intimate. It was so intimate because the person could see my soul, my struggle.
That's where the word comes from, into me, intimate.
Into me, exactly. It's nothing like, oh, I have sex with somebody, just close my eyes and get it over. Okay, bye. I don't know nothing about the person. But if you sit in front of each other and really hear and see and feel each other, it's like, wow, it's beyond what you think what intimacy is.
It is. And it's interesting because not everybody connects at a deep soul level. I know with my partner, that was one of the things I think I kind of introduced him, soul level connection. And he loved it from that point on. He got it. I don't think he's had that, you know, in
I know.
connection, and because they're so into the physical, like you said, everyone's into the physical, and it's something you can lead your partners into when you know about it, and really get a deeper soul connection without it being, because I can't be physical with people like that. I have to have that intimate connection.
Now, because now you learned it, you know, when you were younger, you can just have sex like that, you know, but once you get more in line with yourself and you do all the spiritual practices or yoga like you do, or whatever you do, you know, like whatever people do, you get more connected with yourself. It's like, wow, I really need a connection with somebody. Also, it heals so many things. When you heal your sexuality in your relationship, wow, you can heal so many things, because relationships fall apart most of the time because of sexuality.
I want to ask you that. That's what I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
Because I think this is my opinion. I could be wrong, but it's good to know from someone that's you know, that does this for a life now and has a degree on it. So
I don't have a degree.
Well, but you know what I'm saying. You've worked on
yeah,
it. So
I'm doing it.
How you state that? But what I'm trying to say is like, it's good to talk about it because from my perspective, I think women, when a lot of us get married, or those, you know, you're the typical, they get married, they get into this, yes, you're attracted to the person. Those first 2 years can be, you know, amazing. And then they go into their routine. Some of them have babies. And then within the 5-7 years, then they find themselves almost kind of like in a routine and a rut. And I find because they're so stuck on that physical aspect realm of looking at things that way, as if just like I told my partners, you need to keep this always like it's a new relationship, always enticing, always making it fun, because it's like you're going to do the same thing again with another person and another person. Because I find that people kind of get into a routine or a rut, and then they go back again and they find themselves like, women don't want to do anything. They lose their sexuality. They don't care anymore unless they move on to someone new. And then they start taking care of themselves again. And I think it's like what you're saying. It's like we're so stuck in that physical. Whereas when you start appreciating yourself, you can still keep that aliveness over the years with your partner. And that goes both ways, you know, with men and women, when you're looking at the person from a soul perspective, spiritually, no longer in that physical form. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. And also definitely, and just to add on it, like, you know, the communication is so important, and the communication is not necessarily verbally, the physical communication, where we just take a moment and really get to understand and look into the soul of the other and get to understand what's actually really the issue here, you know. Right. And this is the reason why the marriages fall apart. I mean, obviously in my case, when if it's domestic violence or something, it's like it's very unlikely that you can fix it, you know. But let's sort of say you have overall a good relationship, you know, but you discuss a lot, or you have different opinions, or you have a bad sex life or something like that.
See, mine, when my relationship basically wasn't so much domestic, it was more because I didn't have that. I married, but I went straight from being home to a marriage very early in my stage. Then got pregnant with my daughter 2 years later. But I found that the traumas that I led on from early stage of my life, that was when I was young, I got raped. So I closed the Pandora box. And so when I got into a relationship, I found myself not really understanding my sexuality as much. And when I had my daughter, my sexuality kind of died out. I became a mom, yet still didn't feel a woman. I felt trapped like a child, you know, because there's that part of me that never grew up. I had to grow up for my kid, you know, because once you have a child, you can't turn back time. You got to keep going, and you got to do the things, and those things come naturally, you know, how to take care of your own child. But the part of not understanding myself at that stage of my life because of what happened to me. I couldn't understand why I didn't feel complete. I couldn't feel like a woman. So I felt like I was still this girl trapped in a woman's body, not knowing really what to do. And then, so I think a lot of that affected my relationship, to push him away to look outside the relationship. And then when I found out that I kind of knew it and I didn't, I kind of did this. And then when I finally kind of got myself at like, okay, you're not going to do this to me. He wasn't really there. And so when it really came to light, I chose to let it go.
Yeah.
And my healing came later, with someone else. But then I just feel like a lot of women find themselves in that situation.
Yeah.
And
I didn't think that I found myself like this, and when it comes to sexuality overall, but I hear a lot of women having that issue. And I also hear a lot of men saying that, ever since my wife gave birth, she lost her mojo, so but
at the same time, I feel like the partnering too, because in his case, he came from a divorced family. I didn't. So his scenario was more his, the way he was and all that stuff, as a person, it almost died out because he almost didn't want to be really a family. He wanted to just have just me and him at first, and then I ended up getting pregnant. It was like it threw him off. And then I think I added on to not being that person, vivacious woman that he met and all that stuff, that he was just like, this is not, that kind of lifestyle wasn't what he was looking forward to. And so I think I just kept going in that route for, like you said, what became a year to 2-3 years before it just kept becoming almost a norm for me.
Yeah, but I still believe that, if you would have been both aware of tantric teachings, you would have been able to sit with each other and like figure that out.
Oh, absolutely. I just think that, like you said, communication is key.
Just finding different tools than only arguing or verbal things. And so I think in the sacred sexuality teachings, or at least what I teach in my school, is that finding different exercises, different ways to look at things in the relationship, and then see if it's fixable. Obviously there's things that are not fixable. People are not on the same path, or your partner's just not on the same path as you, or you just it just doesn't work. But I think there's a couple of there's relationships that you can absolutely fix if you know how to communicate better. And that has a lot to do with sexuality, because our sex life is very like, we just like do it like on a daily, and like especially in marriage is like, okay, let's just be on autopilot, and it dies like that too. And we do it a certain way because this is how we always have done it, but you never really get into different ways of approaching each other, and taking time for each other and looking at each other. Where am I at now? Maybe 6 months later, where are you at? Maybe you change, people change, like what approach do we need now? And it's like very typical in relationships. No, but I know you always do this and that. But then, I don't give that person either a chance to change, and to grow. And so we hinder each other from our own growth.
Right.
And so in Tantra, sacred sexuality, I think what it does, it enforces a little bit more the growth, and seeing each other truly for who they are and where they're at right now, and gives more space to more flexibility, for change.
I love it. I love it. And where do you see yourself now, like in 3 years or so?
I see myself traveling the world with my school and with my children, and just doing a lot of retreats and music events, and just travel with my children. So I do actually have a couple of retreats coming up next year in Europe. They're all in the planning right now. So yeah, I see myself definitely doing that. The teachings of not only Tantra, also of the womb, the women's circles, all of that is under the umbrella of my school. Is the women's circle, the womb healings, and the Tantra retreats, and music. I can all combine all of it, And I'm also an acupuncturist. I do, I'm a doctor in Chinese medicine. So I also would love to explore my clinics and offer sound healing with acupuncture and womb. So like, kind of Yeah, just also
Put it
doing
all
maybe like
together.
franchise.
That's
Mhm.
gorgeous.
It goes hand in hand, but maybe like a franchise type of thing, you know, where people can just do the same business model, you know, and I teach them how to do it. You know, my goal is always to teach as many people as I can,
Yeah,
because I cannot do it on my own. And I feel like everybody should be sharing their teachings so we can make this world a better place.
I love it. I love it. And how are you hits? Like, how do they inspire you, and how do they get inspired from you, from all this
My
other people?
kids,
Yeah.
well, my kids just see me walking. I mean, my 10 and my 12-year-old right now, they're in the teenager years now. They're on TikTok and YouTube, and they know everything about it, and they're very conscious, but they're also in their 3D matrix, you
So
know,
get out of
TikToks
there.
and stuff. I mean, I can only try to do damage prevention, you know, because these little girls nowadays that twerk all over TikToks, and my boy's seeing these things, and it's like, okay, so much needs to be done.
I know. I know it is
You
hard.
know,
I do
it is
know.
very hard because also I have been young. I know where I was at when I was young, you know, and I just wanted to live that life. And so everybody goes through the teachings, but I definitely plant the seeds for them. I mean, they know about the teachings. They know everything about the womb. They go to the womb blessings. They know about donating the moon blood to the earth, and they know about the herbs. They know about respecting the women and honoring the temple. They know even how to breathe, the kundalini, the orgasmic breath. I taught them these things. So whatever they do with their private lives, I cannot influence that, you know. And there's also the part of what the world is nowadays, but they definitely do have the teachings.
That's
So let's just
beautiful.
hope for the best.
Yeah, I think you've done a great job, because I know with mine, I never thought she would, I did what I could, like you, implement the teachings. And today she's just this beautiful girl that's just basically, she goes back to basics. She's a
Mhm,
vegan, she paints, she does everything. She follows, she loves her crystals.
mhm,
She's into astrology now, because she's look at me like, okay, mom. And
mhm,
now she's like, hey, mom, what's happening right now with the what's going on? So we talk about it, and she's like, oh, that makes sense. Now I
mhm,
understand, so it's
mhm,
like, it's interesting when you do that, they do listen, and
mhm.
now she looks at the yoga, and she's like, oh, my shoulders are hurting. What can I do? So they come around. They do come around,
Yeah, I
especially when
hope
they're
so.
on their own. So they will.
I hope so. Yeah, but my kids are into Gnostic teachings. They always look for people. They know that the system is bullshit. They're not into medication. You
Beautiful.
know, they know everything about the Illuminati and everything that's going on. You
Yeah,
know, they know, they
that's
know,
good.
they know a lot of things, but they're still also on TikTok, you know, and about these
Yeah,
stupid TikTok challenges. It's like, guys, don't waste your time.
I
But
know.
you know, again, we like everything needs to be in balance, and they also need to know that world, you know. But yeah, they know everything about astrology, very big on all three of them. Human design, even they know a lot of things about human design. So yeah, just like we have a sweat lodge here in the house, so they go in a sweat lodge, you
Beautiful.
know. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's just like growing up in both worlds.
that's beautiful. And they'll find that balance once they get out,
Yep.
in the
Yeah.
world. They will. That's
Hmm.
beautiful. And
Hmm.
do you have any words of wisdom to our audience that's listening to us right now?
Yeah, I would just love to say that, you know, I really want to encourage, especially women, but also men, obviously, to really listen to the signs, you know, like our womb or our body speaks to us, and we just pass by these things, you know, our stomach, our womb, our infections, our thoughts, you know, all of this are signs from your angels, from your guides telling you that something needs to change, you know. And so just pay attention to these things. I think like most people really don't pay attention, and that's the biggest issue. When you start paying attention and then you realize, okay, something is off right now, and then the right people have space to come into your life, you know, and make change happen for you, and just
Right.
trust that. So yeah, I would love to say
Oh,
that.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And for our gentlemen out there listening too, like, what are you
Gentlemen,
thinking? Yeah.
yeah, just yeah, I feel I love so much, like, oh my God, I have so many beautiful men in my life and clients that really want to learn, you know. And also they have a lot of them also struggle that I have a partner, a female partner, that are not into it. And it's like, wow, that is even more frustrating for men, you know, to wanting to have more soul connection, and then the woman is not into it because she goes through all her traumas, you know. So yeah, just keep on looking especially on social media nowadays, keep on learning, you know, keep on learning about it. And detox a little bit from the porns and delete a couple of the girls on Instagram that have their asses out. You know, it really helps the men to I know we want to have that eye candy, but it really helps you to detox your brain, you know, and go back also into what you actually need as a man, because most men are also so detached from what they actually need, because we women constantly provoke our bodies in we work our sexual energy in so wrong ways that our men also get confused, you know. So
Well,
try to not get so confused and detox from that a
I
little
think
bit.
that when you say men that are wanting to find, there's a part of them that is also missing. So if they see what it is,
Totally.
that they're not connecting with that female, that there's a chance that they're looking for the wrong thing, and they have to look within themselves as a mirror.
Totally.
You know, because that means, where are they shallow in themselves? Where are they not looking in? If, you know, I always look at relationships like as a mirror. And ever since I had that one, my last toxic one, it was like, okay, where is it that I don't see myself here? And why am I not doing something about it? So whenever I noticed that, I would then shift that consciousness. And then when I finally broke away from it, it's when I realized every little thing I did myself, but the other person wasn't doing. So that's when I said, okay, this obviously isn't for me. I've done the work. I've done everything I could. It's time to go, you know?
Yeah.
I moved on. But when you do find that right person, how do you also, what can you tell people not to create a Sabbath, to do the opposite and push it away? Because a lot of people don't understand. They're so used to doing the same pattern. So when it comes to breaking the pattern, it's an unfamiliar feeling. So what do you tell them to?
Yeah, just go with that, you know. Listen, like I said, listen to the signs, like go internal and don't, you know, especially when we like start our spiritual path, we tend to ask a lot of people, what do you think? What's your opinion? I need a reading. I need that. I need a healer, you know. So we always seek outside of it, and everybody has all these advices for us. But the biggest master is yourself. And I got 80% of my teachings are my own teachings, what I channeled with my guides, you know. And everybody has that ability. Everybody has that in them. You're born with it, with that real wisdom of what you need and who you are. And we get distracted. So just listen to these things and go internally. Don't listen so much externally about it, other people, you know. And also don't try to make others happy, you know. Make yourself happy first. And then
to make others happy, you have to be happy.
Yeah. And it's hard because sometimes we don't even catch it because we're so on autopilot with it, you know, that we don't even understand why we're doing it all the time.
That's true. That is so true. Nathalie, thank you. And I also wanted to like throw in a little bit of your plug-in. Like, you have a Tantra coming up pretty soon, aren't you?
Yeah, this Saturday I have one Tantra retreat coming up here in Miami, and then I have in October, I haven't announced it yet, but 23rd, 24th October, I have another retreat, Tantra 1 and 2 in LA again. Okay. And then I'll be in Czech Republic probably next year in February. So I don't know if you have people from Czech Republic, but anyways, it's so random.
Listen, they listen all around the world. That's all I got.
You never know. I know.
I have Ireland. I have everywhere. So
I know.
Podcast listened everywhere, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to plug in all your information. A link below for those that, you know, once you hear our information, you're more than welcome to reach out to Nathalie, and she'll connect you, whether it's womb healing, Tantra retreats, if you need a sound healer, or acupuncture.
Yeah.
Or the combination of all three.
A combination, most likely, yeah.
Which I think would be the best thing. Those are
it's the best.
Oh my God, those are the best medicines. I love it. I definitely have to come in one of these days and do like a mash posh of acupuncture. That's for
sure. Come for sure.
And sound healing. Oh, that would be my favorite. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now that I know you're here, I'm like, yes, I gotta do that. I got introduced into acupuncture by a dear friend of mine. I still love her. I think she was more of an angel that came to me during a time, I want to say 4.5 years ago now. We're going to go to 5. I had an accident and I had no idea what acupuncture was about. I really didn't, you know, dive into it at the time. I just knew it was Chinese medicine, but I didn't really know much about it. She came into my world and we did like an energy exchange of yoga, and I did the acupuncture and cupping with her.
I
And
love cupping.
it's incredible because I was so thrown out. My whole spine just kind of got thrown out because a car hit me in the highway from the back. Towed my car, and I was so deviated, especially on my cervical spine. So she started putting acupuncture right there and told me to turn my neck, and I couldn't believe it. How where I was locked up at one point, she had me turning my neck, fluently moving, even though it was painful. I couldn't stay. But she kept moving that little needle. I was like, oh, this you're killing me. She's like, but it's moving. And she got me to do it. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, you made a believer out of me. And I ended up doing this like twice a week. She started healing me from a lot of the pain areas that I had, and the issues I had on my shoulder. And, it was amazing how it just turns everything. And I didn't realize how much from her is how I learned that I was also I had too much fire in me. So I would trigger my liver a lot. And the foods that I was eating definitely were affecting me because I had this pattern of eating the same, spicy type of foods that instead of balancing it out, it was causing an issue with me, with my digestion. And that was like the beginning of my teaching on healing my gut because of her. And so she gave me these herbs to try to help me relax and allow my digestion to work in its way. And it was very magical. Like the experiences from that point on, I started reading and looking into it and understanding to the point I said, you know what, at some point in my life after I'm done with this area where I am right now, that would be my goal, is to get into acupuncture, just because I find it fascinating. I find it really fascinating.
Yeah, it's so healing. Everybody should be an acupuncture.
Right? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
People think they just have to come when they're sick. No, come when you're not sick, so you don't get sick.
Exactly. It's beautiful. I loved it. And since then, I've met a few friends of mine that, one now he's in Lisbon right now. He's and that he just became a doctor. Finally, he got his graduate. He graduated this year in the summer, and went over there to treat people, as his way of giving back. So he's there right now, and I think he may stay because he's like, I love it here. He found like a family of healers over there, so he's doing it. And
awesome.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It's just beautiful things, that you guys do, and I definitely love the art of it. So, I gotta say, Chinese medicine goes way back, and it's incredible. Just like Ayurveda.
I love all of these ancient medicines. Like, I think they're all very healing, and also again, like your own prayer also can heal you.
Absolutely.
So
it's mindset again.
Yeah.
Stay in a positive mindset, clear your mind from toxicity, and you're going to be in a good place. Just keep attracting that energy. It's all energy. We're all, human beings. Ray of light. That's how I see it. So, well, Nathalie, thank you so much. I'm gonna definitely plug in all your information below, and hopefully have you on board soon.
Thank you for having me.
I love having you here. Thank you so much for being, part of this Holistic podcast. I love it. I love having people like yourselves, and can't wait to see you in a few years and see where you come out, where you're at in your school.
So
thank
exciting.
You so much, Mama. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for joining us today. I will stay tuned. I know that I am slow right now with my podcast, but like I said, I'm going to be putting more quality work, so I will be back within 3 weeks, and with another amazing host guest. Thank you so much, and stay tuned.